So,
Okay.
Tom, welcome to the Transform Your Future podcast. I've been looking forward to this. We've been chatting back and forth. I read a little bit about you, and I'm very interested in talking about using energy for healing. And I just want you to go ahead and jump in. Tell me from the beginning what was going on that got you interested in finding solutions to help people heal.
I wanted to help people, and I needed a new avenue, a new approach. And my approach in helping people with their health is not biological. I don't work at the biochemical level. I work at the energetic level. The energetic level is quite different because I am not working what I call through the laws of Newtonian science. I'm working with a different branch of physics, scalar physics, what some people might call Tesla physics. Now, let me define my terms. What is scalar physics? Well, scalar energy, scalar light originates from the sun and the stars. So I'm working with the primal energy, the energy of the universe, the energy of the sun and the stars. Now, what is so advantageous about working with this energy, you're in the driver's seat, so to speak. Scalar energy is a first principle. It's a first cause. It allows me to access nature directly. Scalar energy is fundamental, so I have a fundamental approach to wellness, not at the biochemical level, at the level of intelligence or information. Now,
Interesting.
yeah. So there's a new approach here. Now, to be clear to your audience, I'm not a medical professional. I'm a scalar energy researcher. My work has nothing to do with physical matter. I work with non-physical intelligence. And when I work with this non-physical intelligence, I use scalar energy instruments. There's a scalar energy instrument behind me in the background here. These are custom-built instruments that I work with that allow me to access the scalar energy dimension, which is not electricity.
Mm.
Okay.
And
So,
this dimension, this energy, it's around me, it's in me,
yes.
it's part of me, it's around all of us.
Yes, it's around. We live in a sea of scalar energy. We don't realize that. It's from the sun and the stars. The sun and the stars propagated, if you will, throughout the universe, and it is omnipresent. That's the best way to describe it. It's omnipresent. But sadly, modern day science has not yet put their finger on it. Now, there's a number of drawbacks. With electricity, the electromagnetic spectrum, you can measure electricity. If scalar energy is omnipresent, how do you measure something that's omnipresent? There's no basic unit. It's infinite energy. So there's not a basic unit to it. I don't know how you would ever measure the energy. How can you measure infinity? You can't. You can't. So we have to accept this by, if you will, anecdotal evidence. We have to look at the before and after. Many of the people that work with me, they look at their before and after health, and they're saying to me that they're healthy, that before arriving at my scalar energy website, they were unhealthy. After a session, a month or two, they say that they feel much better. So I work with people once again at the level of intelligence. I broadcast intelligence, and the intelligence will identify a disease signature or will identify some type of anomaly. And this energy is corrective, so scalar energy will not only identify but negate a disease signature.
So tell me a little bit about how that works. So, like, just say, for example, I have some illness that for whatever reason I feel tired all the time, and it's something like that I have wrong with me, some kind of fatigue syndrome or whatever, right? Some chronic fatigue. How do you do what you're saying, that you could see the disease signature and send the energy signature?
Yes, that's the key. So when working with these instruments, if I don't work with a person in a biological sense, I work with a person's information field, which is their photograph. This is my photograph is my bilocated version. It's not my if you will, my biochemical version. It is my bilocated energy version. So instead of working with people in the flesh, I work with people in substitution by way of their photograph. A photograph carries intelligence. An energy field is imprinted on the photograph. That is what I access, the energy field, the force field on a photograph. Now, my work is groundbreaking. With the exception of my predecessor, a man by the name of Galen Hieronymus, nobody has ever duplicated this instrument or this approach. Galen Hieronymus, the initial inventor, is deceased, so I carry on with his work. So just to give the audience a clue, and this has never been duplicated. My instrument, my work has not yet been duplicated. So I'm trying to introduce this new process, this new way of scalar light research.
Well, let me be skeptical for a second,
Yes.
a little bit here. So the photograph captures all the information in the photograph. That's what you're saying.
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly.
That's amazing. That
Yes.
it's able to pick up the
Yes.
signature.
If I had cancer, my photograph would denote it. If I had Alzheimer's, my photograph would incorporate that, would likewise denote Alzheimer's. My photograph can, if you will, tell my blood type. My photograph has the information of my heartbeat. My photograph has my genetic code.
Interesting. What kind of test have you done so far?
None. Why? There's no test for this science. It's a new science. There is no way to prove or disprove my work. But people tell me by way of testimony that they feel better. Or some people will have, say, a follow-up PCR test, and their PCR test shows an absence of a virus, no viral load. Or others that I've worked with tell me that their symptoms of Alzheimer's are improving. Some people tell me that after sessions, after 2 or 3 months, that they're in cancer remission. Is there any way for me to test a photograph? No. Is there any scientific test for a photograph? No, not to my knowing, in conjunction with this instrument. That's how cutting edge this is. So I have to rely upon testimonies. And our website has thousands of testimonies. Thousands of testimonies. Everything from dementia to herpes infection, everything from autoimmune disease. So I let the people speak.
What about chronic pain? Chronic pain is
Yes.
probably one of the most popular.
Yes, yeah. People with rheumatoid arthritis say after 2 or 3 months, their symptoms abate. Yes. Chronic pain, rheumatoid arthritis, inflammation. Yes. The program is effective. Why? Rheumatoid arthritis has a signature. If I had rheumatoid arthritis, it would show up on my photograph as a force field. It could be identified as a signature on my photograph. And my instrument then will negate that signature of rheumatoid arthritis. So when we're working at the level of information, we can identify a disease signature and negate the signature. You don't worry about the
that happens automatically?
Yes. Yes, because the energy is corrected. Yes. That's correct.
So when you use your device, you use the device on the photo.
Yes.
And by using the device on my photo, let's say, in your experience with thousands of people who you've worked with, they have reduced symptoms.
Yes.
Or in many cases, in remission, or, completely abated.
Correct. Yes.
Crazy.
Yes.
That's amazing.
I'm going to demonstrate. This is a scalar energy instrument. It's operating, and it functions like a star. So here's a simple experiment. There's so much energy that's broadcasting off of those Tesla coils, I can illuminate a light bulb in my hand.
Yeah, I see that just by putting it next to it. Yeah.
Yeah. So if I place a person's photograph in the instrument next to the Tesla coils, that's a scalar energy environment. That's the key to my work. This environment is not electromagnetic. This environment is a scalar energy environment. And when my photograph is in that scalar energy environment, it's a different physics. it's no longer electromagnetic energy. And on account of that fact, if I can identify a signature, let's say you have rheumatoid arthritis, which is a signature, and we want to negate that signature, we simply tell the instrument to negate the energy.
Interesting.
So if this represents the signature, that illumination of the light bulb actually represents the signal of rheumatoid arthritis, I simply tell the photograph to accept the corrective energy that removes the signal.
Wow. Sounds too good to be true.
That's what some people have said in the past.
Mm-hmm.
But they've tried the sessions and they feel better.
Yeah.
Now, what I've just described is you won't find this in any textbook. It's groundbreaking. It's my research. I'm the pioneer. I'm trying to introduce my groundbreaking research.
That's amazing. I mean, obviously, I see the benefits based upon all the experience of people that you've worked with, and I'm sure that the applications for it are out there of more that you can do than just what you're saying. How do you introduce this so that more people get involved to create more technology and more uses?
People like you, Eddie, thank you for your audience. I'm one researcher. To be very clear to the audience, there's no company behind me. I'm alone. I'm one researcher. And I have to now introduce these discoveries to the world. And how do I do that? By podcast. That's the best way for me to get the message out there. Obviously, the major networks are not going to cover this. And that's, as an aside, one of the reasons why the major networks will not cover this. This is free energy. And there is a lot of political persuasion not to introduce free energy.
So you're saying that the scalar energy, if we could tap into that, we can use that energy to power things.
Yes, exactly.
Wow.
Exactly. So it's going to be a new source of energy. Remember, this energy is from the sun and the stars. There's no pollution. It's not a chemical. There's no chemical pollution. And you'll never run out of sunlight or starlight.
I don't know much about Nikola Tesla's story other than some general things. And I know that there were a lot of people against what he was doing, what he was saying, and, tried to keep him down because of the implications of possibly what he was getting into.
Yes. And that's what I'm getting into. To tap into the free energy of the universe. Show the instrument. This instrument, if you look closely, there's no moving part. That's a scalar energy instrument. So you don't have to create kinetic energy. The instrument will capture kinetic energy. You don't see any moving armature. It's not a motor. There's no moving parts. So where is the kinetic energy? It's from the stars.
And so are we.
Yes, we
exactly.
are. I'll explain what I think scalar energy is. This is a time-lapse photograph taken of a scalar wave as it was broadcast from a Tesla coil, so probably a minute exposure, in which you see a double helix form. It's a time-lapse photograph for about a minute or so. And you see what you call the scalar wave, the double helix. Now, I believe scalar energy is the cause of our DNA.
It certainly looks like DNA.
So the same ratio and proportion. The scalar wave is the identical ratio and proportion as our DNA. There was one scientist by the name of Antoine Priory back in the 50s and 60s who had a very strong scalar energy instrument. And with his scalar wave, he was able to download that into people and cure them of cancer and tumors. And the thinking behind that is a plasma tube of scalar energy will download and correct a base pair mutation in the DNA.
Wow. And when was that?
In the 50s and 60s. He was
50s and 60s.
Yeah, he's an Italian, but he had the support of the French government for a while. And people testified that after, if you will, being treated by this plasma tube, this pre-array plasma tube, they no longer had cancer, all types of cancer, people from different backgrounds. So that perhaps is one of the tools that we have to explore in the future, that if this man, Antoine Prairie, had great success in addressing cancer, why can't we reproduce his work?
That's interesting. That's very interesting. These individuals that you have collected their stories and who have had improvements and sometimes complete reversals, how long have you been working with them? I mean, do you stay in touch with these people in the long term, or?
Yeah, many of them stay in touch with me year after year, and it's a lasting recovery. According to them, if they had the herpes infection, they no longer have it. And it's a lasting, if you will, recovery. So again, we have to rely upon testimonies. We have to rely upon people and what they will admit to, what they will acknowledge. To be very clear, when I work with people, I've never met most of the people. Maybe 99% of the people I've never met. I receive photographs from around the world. So again, this is a new way of looking at science, in which if we can have a conversation by way of our computers, right? Eddie, you're in my computer. I can see your image in my computer. So this, if you will, this video call is image to image. Well, then why can't I work with a person's image by way of my instrument? I can.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the new science, scalar science, 0-point energy, in which we can access a person's information and either enhance that information or negate it. If it's a disease, I negate the disease. I negate the informational input or the informational character.
And when you do these, I don't know what to call them. What do you call them? Sessions?
Program sessions, call it what you will. It's a elastic vocabulary. We haven't decided upon the dictionary yet.
Okay. So how do you prepare somebody for the sessions, and what do you actually do that involves them? I mean, I understand you use the instrument on the photo, but are they involved at that point, or
no?
No.
The only thing they have to do is email their photograph, and this is what people like. People simply email their photograph or photographs of family members. Many times we'll treat an entire family and pets. And after that, they don't have to do anything, just participate in the healing. Now, many people are very keen on that because they don't want to experience pain. Well, there's no pain when you're working through a force field on a photograph. And many people don't want to change their diet or change their work habits. They don't have to. You just submit us a photograph. I act upon the photograph. I never act upon the person. So you could go play tennis and your bilocated version, your photograph, is inside my instrument. It's a new way of looking at science. This is not according to the laws of electromagnetic theory. There's two physics, and I'm exploring the other physics, scalar physics.
The other side of that. Yeah. I want to know more about scalar energy. Definitely.
Yeah, thank you. It's very real. To your audience, I only work with instruments. These are scientifically calibrated instruments. I follow the laws of science. So with that, my statement is twofold. If I follow the laws of science, I cannot make a mistake. The laws of science are immutable. And then when the scalar energy that follows the laws of science acts upon your photograph, then the intent or the instructions upon your photograph are likewise immutable. There's no human reasoning. So my scalar energy instrument is flawless, and applying scalar energy to a photograph is flawless. The result is a guaranteed outcome.
And I know we were talking earlier, you were saying that, basically there's no risk to try it, right? That they just have to upload to your website.
That's correct. My website gives away 15 days of free sessions. And I do that because I prove this. I'm all about performance. As a researcher, I want to prove my work. And and I should prove my work. Anybody who's is a researcher and is worth their salt should be able to prove the efficacy of their research or the merit, or at least demonstrate how indeed I'm following the laws of science, or perhaps at least read the testimony. We have thousands of testimonies. Why would thousands of people vouch for this process of photographic sessions? So I give your audience all the credit in the world. I give you the credit in the world, Eddie. This is new. It's groundbreaking. This is something you have to really immerse yourself in and really consider. You really have to cogitate upon these principles of scalar physics, how this is so unlike any other instrument that you've probably ever been introduced to, how scalar physics is not electromagnetic physics, how if my theories are correct that I can pinpoint a disease signature and attenuate that disease signature or eradicate it, negate it altogether, then this will have credible promise to mankind.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Definitely, I want to get a session for sure.
Yeah.
Does it matter how old the photo is? Because, should I send you one when I was 9 years old or send you one when I'm 60?
Yeah, that's a good question. No, the age of the photograph does not matter. And the reason I say that, when we're working with a photograph, it's your signature. It's just like your fingerprint. My fingerprint stays with me throughout life. My energetic fingerprint stays with me throughout life.
That's crazy.
Now, I'll share with your audience one specific, if you will.
Just out of curiosity, so trying to understand, somebody sends you the photo.
Right.
They don't tell you what the disease is.
I don't want to know, because it's divine intelligence. I come from a Christian background. I'm saying that God's energy is the healing, animating force. There is no human reasoning with my work. The energy.
So they don't tell you. They don't tell you. You don't want to know, and you just perform your session.
Correct.
And then afterwards, they tell you something got better.
Yes.
So that's wild. So, like, what if you have multiple illnesses?
I've worked with people with multiple medical conditions, multiple what I would consider psychological conditions, and invariably people feel better after 2-3 months. There's a healing curve. It doesn't happen overnight.
Right.
But the key to my work is I only work with energy, and there's no human input. There's no human reasoning.
That would be great if it was immediate, though.
Yes, it would. But for some reason, there's still a healing curve. Now, that might speak to the point that if this indeed is effective, working at the level of information then still relies upon some type of biochemical response. I don't know. That's never been established. In other words, I can't prove that there's a connection with a person's photograph and their biological domain, their biology. Nobody can prove that. In fact, I don't think that's the case.
Not only can nobody prove it, but they can't disprove it either.
That's true. That's true. Now, if my theory is correct that there's two energies, and that modern day science just looks at us as an electromagnetic being, I'm saying that's wrong. I'm saying there's two energy fields. We're not only electromagnetic beings, we're scalar beings. So in order for my work to be fully embraced and the full extension of my work, then we have to consider that I am not accessing the electromagnetic spectrum of a person, that I am instead accessing their scalar energy spectrum. There's two dimensions, there's two realities. Modern day science only considers the reality, the dimension of electromagnetic energy. That's been proven. What am I saying? I conjecture, I theorize that there's two states of being, a scalar energy state of being that nobody's proven.
Yeah. Well, in my experience, I've done a lot of things that some people would probably say that's not unbelievable, or that's ridiculous. That could have never happened. But I have manifested things in my life. I have had miracles in my life, and there's an energy out there. I've used like a remote viewing and uh, you know, techniques like that I've learned to kind of tap into those things. And so I know that there's a lot of power in energy, energies, fields around us, and that we can tap into those things as well with our consciousness. So
Yes.
I don't think it's that ridiculous that this could work. It just seems like that's absolutely an incredible miracle if this would work for me, let's say, with my health problems, and I could do several sessions and it would abate that. That would be fantastic. That would be fantastic.
That's why we give away 15 days of free sessions. And most people feel better after 15 days. Now
So
imagine.
when you said 15 days a few times, and I never really stopped to ask you about it, but let me do that now. So 15 days, meaning that you do it every day, or?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
really? Okay.
These instruments are on 24 hours a day. So for
Oh, I
15
see what you're saying. You just put it in the scalar energy
yes,
area and leave it there for 15 days.
correct.
I got it. I
Yeah.
got it.
And for 15 consecutive days, you're receiving this energy. And after 15 consecutive days, 24 hours a day, most people feel better. That's the general consensus. Now, why do I treat for 15 days? Just as a sample, as an introduction. Some people only want to be treated for 15 days. So that's what I offer. They don't want a long-term commitment. So I give them a short-term commitment of 15 days.
So you have some people that do this for longer periods of time.
Yeah, that's correct. Exactly.
And what would be the distinguishing factor in that?
Some
That they
people,
get some results and they want more? Or?
yes, some people feel so good. We have a year-long program. Some people sign up for a year-long program, year after year after year, because they feel the benefits. They want to feel good. They want those disease signatures eradicated, nullified. So it's different perspective.
Tom, you're around them. You're around it all the time. So what do you think it does to somebody, just in proximity of it?
I'm 64 years of age and I feel very young and very healthy. I have no medical complications because my disease signatures, if they exist, though, they will be negated by this divine intelligence.
So is it potentially better physically than it is working with a picture?
No. It's the same because to establish this, it's not your proximity to the instrument, it's whether you're working with a person's photograph, which has their force field. Now, do I feel the energy? Yes, when I'm in person. Is that necessary? No, because we're working with force field. There is no distance in scalar energy. Whether you're close to the instrument, 3 feet away from the instrument as I am, or 1,000 miles away, the information field does not recognize distance.
Yeah, that's great. I'm going to definitely do some more research on this, and it sounds very sci-fi.
It is. It is. Why? Because we're introducing different scientific principles. The scientific principles that guide me are not electromagnetic principles. Just to consider, all of my work is non-physical. There's not even an electron involved. Well, you need electrons for electricity. All of my work is non-physical. It's information. I never touch the physical dimension. I'm always working at the level of intelligence, which is, if you will, identical to thought. Thought is non-physical. That's what scalar energy is. This is a thought instrument. I'm working with thought. I'm working with that level of creativity, intelligence, or emotion. Thought and emotion are non-physical.
That's great. So I'm going to definitely put the website in the show notes for anybody who wants to go to your website, get more information, or take advantage of the 15 days. I'm definitely going to look into that because I want to see what happens with me after 15 days.
Yeah. Go to our website. We've had incredible testimonies from around the world. I'll share a few testimonies. This is a PCR test.
Please. I was going to ask you that.
This is a PCR test. Somebody who approached us told us they had Epstein-Barr. It's a common virus. And after working with us, they had a follow-up PCR test. The Epstein-Barr virus is absent. It's undetectable. This is a PCR test from somebody who had herpes. After working with us, just sending us their photograph, that's all. They no longer have a viral load for herpes. Now, these people also testified they no longer have the symptoms for Epstein-Barr or herpes, respectively. So there's merit to what I'm saying. The theory is now playing out. I'm proving the theory that there are disease signatures, that if I had the Epstein-Barr virus, the signature of Epstein-Barr would appear on my photograph. If my physical body has the physical presence of Epstein-Barr, then my photograph would show the signature, the intelligence of Epstein-Barr. And what do? We tell the photograph to negate the intelligence of Epstein-Barr.
Yeah, I mean, I 36 years ago, I got very sick, and I had a serious illness that many people die from, that many people, it destroys their liver, and they need a liver transplant. It's very bad. But I was able to do several different things that had to do with my mind and my body, and supplements, and thinking the right thoughts, no stress in my life, and the viral load is undetectable for 36 years. So I know that these things are all possible.
Yes.
Because we've seen it happen. We've seen people get very ill, and then for some weird reason, they make amends with everybody that they know. They make sure everybody they know loves them, knows that they love them. They get rid of some of their possessions, give things away, and maybe refine their faith again, and they're praying to God. And then all of a sudden they have remission and they get better, and the doctor says, oh, you're going to be fine. And so when you had a year to live, now you live another 30 years. So these miracles are probably something that we should expect,
yes,
than not expect, I think.
Yes. Now, what is that? Some people might call it subliminal thinking. Others might say that's the placebo effect, which are scalar waves. The way you think, some people can self-heal, which is intelligence. Favorable thinking, positive thinking, the placebo effect, imagining a favorable outcome. What is a brain wave? It's a scalar wave. A brain wave is exactly that. It's the double helix. So now this gives, if you will, credence to my notion, my theory, that a brain wave is a scalar wave. And if we have enough of that brain wave, we can download it into us, and that brain wave will correct some problem, some ailment.
Well, you've made it easy for me to buy into the whole thing and try it out. I mean, I don't see how it could possibly hurt me, for God's sakes. I think it's a great thing, and I actually believe that it is possible. And I think, I had stem cell surgery, not surgery, excuse me. I had stem cell injections into both my knees. And when I did it, I had my doctor friend do it for me, actually. So I had a connection. I worked it all out, and I just had my doctor friend do the injections. And he asked me afterward, he goes, do you feel good? I said, yeah, it feels great. I have no more pain. He said, did you believe that it was going to work? I said, yes. He said, keep believing in it, because if you believe in it, it'll work. And,
Yeah.
and I think that that's true. I think that's a fundamentally true statement, that the things that we believe in, they actually get results when we believe in them.
Well, we now have an understanding of positive thinking, of positive affirmation, of prayer. What is a prayer? A prayer is a scalar wave.
Mm-hmm.
So we now have if you will, a deeper understanding of science. Prayer, thought, positive affirmations. What is that? There's a physics behind that. It's scalar physics.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, Tom, we've talked a lot. I definitely want to go do, look at your website and send you a photo. Is there anything that we haven't spoken about that you want to talk about before we close?
No, that I'm all about performance. Go to scalarlight.com, SCALAR, scalarlight.com. You can upload your photograph and with your family's permission, include them. By the way, we want to include your dog and cat. You have pets. And for 15 days, we'll work with you. We'll balance your brain waves and your chakras. We download, we impart nutrients, vitamins, and minerals into you. We're going to be correcting your disease signatures identified through your photographic force field. It's easy, it's painless. Just try it.
What does it cost to build that machine?
It's taken me millions of dollars in time, talent, and treasure.
But now that you've done that, how much would it be to duplicate the machine?
Oh, to duplicate it, each machine's probably $250,000. There's a lot to it. Everything has to be custom built. Everything has to be custom built.
Yeah, so it's not so easy. You could have just mass produced it. I understand. But that's very interesting. That's very interesting. Maybe that's going to be the future market.
Well, I would hope that scalar energy will be embraced. Again, it's free energy. There's no pollution. There's no harm to it. This is not a chemical. And this should solve the energy crisis. I mean, every year the world spends $10 trillion on energy. This is at a fraction of the cost. We won't have to spend $10 trillion a year on energy.
That's great. I appreciate you, Tom. I'm going to be in touch. We'll talk again, and maybe we'll come back on again and talk more.
Yes, let's see how you feel. Thank you.